Is Beetlejuice a horror movie?
No.
I'm doing my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and Jason says it's not a horror movie.
I also say it's not a horror movie.
Matt says it is. I say
think
it is.
What about you, Squid?
I don't think so, no.
You want Squid on your team? Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
He's my friend.
if we're winning, yes.
He's a very good friend. I'm at least his second best friend, but
Says the man who's, I'm not going to bring it up every 2 seconds. That's what he said. But here
not
we
in a
are.
way where you feel like you're going to lose your job.
Well, that's true.
I said I would bring it up,
Yeah.
jokingly, yeah. All right, so 800-682-1075. Let's go to Octavia. Octavia, is Beetlejuice a horror movie?
Beetlejuice is definitely a horror movie, and it's definitely for Halloween, 100%.
All right.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't for Halloween.
I did.
It's just not a horror movie.
Yeah.
And why do you say it's a horror movie?
Definitely a horror movie. Because you have a lot of people dying in terrible ways. Remember, the whole school team died on a school bus?
Yeah.
The first two people died inside like a bridge accident. Then you got a ghost from the other side trying to kidnap people and take a young girl to like the great beyond in the void. No, it's definitely a horror movie.
I don't think
Maybe we
anybody's
say
terrified. I don't think anybody's terrified
Maybe we
watching
say
the movie.
more.
I'm not, because it's like done in a funny way.
Funny way, yeah, funny way.
And
It's haha
It's like
funny.
almost
You died.
slapstick. Almost slapstick.
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
was terrified when I watched it.
I was not.
Okay. 800-682-1075. But the element she just mentioned, dead people, ghosts, the afterlife, there's horrific like murders, and then you have this evil entity, which is basically a demon that is coming to try to marry this underage girl and take her to the afterlife with him against her will. I mean, it has all the elements.
You added the underage part.
She is, though.
I mean, she is, but you added, like, that's a different
they added
element.
it.
Like,
well, yeah, I guess that's to make it horror, but
Yeah.
it's creepy, though.
Yeah.
It's a level of creepiness.
I can give you that.
And
Creepy.
they're literally, their whole things are trying to scare the people out of their home.
Mm-hmm.
They're haunting a house, which is the definition of a horror movie. I mean, it's like every horror movie has some sort of, not everyone, but a lot are based on haunted houses, right?
Yeah.
They are haunting their own house.
Listen,
But it's
Just
funny.
because they've introduced humor doesn't change the fact that it's a scary plot and a scary story.
Are you scared when are most people scared when watching Beetlejuice?
That's not the question. Is it
Yeah.
a horror
Well,
movie?
the
Yeah.
horror
Horror
movie
movie.
makes you think.
I've watched
being
other
frightened.
horror movies, and I'm like, this is not scary. How many times what's the first thing people say? Was it scary? People are like, no, still a horror movie, just because you don't find it scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you, when you're watching like the slasher films or the psychological thrillers, are you laughing the way that you laugh through Beetlejuice?
I laughed when
No.
Silence of the Lambs, he goes,
No, you
you're a
didn't.
great big fat person. Yes, I did.
You
I did too. I laughed out loud. That's the only part I laughed at.
Maybe later you did, but
And
in
then
the
what
be-
Mims did when she was walking by.
Ew.
I couldn't believe
I was
that was creepy,
disgusted.
right? And some people say that's not a horror movie.
Okay, well, we can debate that another day.
Sharon, is Beetlejuice a horror movie or not?
No, it's even listed as a comedy fantasy, y'all. It's hilarious.
Huh?
Okay, hold on now.
Oh.
Hold on. That's
Oh.
misleading. It's listed as comedy, fantasy, horror
Let's
on IMDb.
Depends on where you're looking, Jared. It depends on where you're looking.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at Sharon wants to make her point.com. I'm just kidding.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Sharon, thank you so much. Let's go to Christian. Is Beetlejuice a horror movie?
No, it's kind of like Hocus Pocus. It's a fun Halloween movie, but it's definitely not a horror movie.
I don't even think it's Halloween. I mean, I agree with you, but I don't even think it's Halloween. Was it set on Halloween?
That's a
No.
good point, Katie. Why is
So,
it Halloween?
I don't know.
Why is any of the scary movies or any type of, it's like a Halloween type movie? I mean, something you watch during Halloween.
I agree with him, though.
What's
It's
that?
a Halloween movie, but it's not a horror movie. You can still be a Halloween movie without it being horror,
Okay.
I think.
This is getting into the whole is Die Hard a Christmas movie.
That's
If
fair.
Halloween does not play a center part of the movie, then it's not a Halloween movie.
Yeah, the official listing for Beetlejuice from Hollywood is fantasy/horror. It doesn't say Halloween, it doesn't say scary, horror.
I'm
I think
seeing-
you can
I
list
think
it.
Hollywood knows more than me or you guys, to be honest.
I'm not sure who determines that, though. Is it the movie producer that determines that this is going to be listed as that?
I think it's all the horror experts in the world get together. All right, let's go to Freeman. Freeman is it a horror? It's like juvenile arguing. And by the way, Freeman is a big Jason Goodman fan, so we can already eliminate what he's going to say.
Let's see. We don't
It's kinda
know.
messy.
We don't
Is it a
know.
horror movie or not? Beetlejuice.
Well, I do a small show based on horror, and I'd say it's definitely not a horror movie.
Why is
You
that?
know, you guys with Matt's rules with death. I mean, there was death on Golden Pond, and this is not a horror movie. So
You're-
you got to take that equation totally out. But
What about-
it's just you need to watch. you need to watch Terrifier or Sinister or the new Exorcist or something scary, man.
Well, I think there's movies that are scarier, like Hereditary, like jacked my brain up for 4 or 5 years.
Like that is horror.
Yeah, but doesn't mean if something's less than that, it's not horror. It's just not as scary. Now, Freeman, what about the ghost?
Yeah.
They're ghost. They're haunting their own house. Is that not quintessential horror movies? The haunting of houses and exorcism.
I think it's
It even
a
has
kid's movie.
Beetlejuice is a demon exorcist, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but it's not portrayed in a scary way.
It's not. Remember the whole scene where they're doing the dance, where they're all going around and it's like it's really fun. It's like a fun time.
Yeah.
And the two.
And they're possessed.
No, but the two main characters played by Gina Davis and
Alec
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
yes, Alec Baldwin. They're like they're. It's not slapstick, but it's almost like they themselves are just parodies. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did say, I read something about like horror movies just a minute ago, saying that you need to have special rules that you can't break, and if you break them, then something horrifying or bad things happen. And
Yeah.
very specific rules. You don't say Beetlejuice 3 times. If you
Yeah.
do, you unleash this demon. He's a demon exorcist. For crying out loud!
But
feel like you-
a funny demon.
I love that scene.
He's very funny though.
He is
very funny.
Freddy Krueger is funny in the movie in different
But
scenes.
he's not trying to
Yes.
be.
No, there's definitely
Freddy's-
I don't know.
There's some lines they did on purpose for like comic relief,
Yes.
which is odd because you're like,
Freddy Krueger though is to be a terrifying creature. Beetlejuice is not to be terrifying. It's funny.
Was there anything funny in Poltergeist or anything funny in The Exorcist?
No,
the
but
original?
I think there's funny lines that Chucky says in Child's Play,
yeah.
and he's doing it to play up the fact that he's a toy.
But Chucky is trying to still be like a terror. He's scary.
Beetlejuice is trying to do terrible, horrible things.
He's actively trying to kill people.
yes.
To get him out of the house so he can marry Lydia. Jonah, is Beetlejuice a horror movie or nah?
I would say it's a horror movie.
And why do you say that?
Definitely say it's a horror. Because Beetlejuice, you can't say his name. It's like a possession. It's like the exorcism when they call to somebody. You cannot call to Beetlejuice without being possessed.
Yeah. Beetlejuice is a freelance poltergeist who specializes in the art
Yes.
of bioexorcism, the act of scaring living occupants out of their own house. No, it's definitely not horror.
I hear the point you're making.
Yeah, I hear the
just
point.
don't agree with
if
it.
I was like this,
Yeah. I
hey,
just don't.
everybody, we're gonna watch a horror movie. I would think, okay, we're all gonna be scared, and it's not portrayed to make you scared.
Would I say? Am I saying it's the scariest movie of all time?
No,
no,
scared
not
at all.
Watch it again, and for certain ages, you would definitely be scared.
Well, that's because for certain ages,
But as an
like if you're
adult,
seven,
If you're 3 or 4, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
not
If you're an
appropriate.
adult, I think if you said to an adult, "Hey, we're gonna watch a horror movie," it's like, okay, be ready to be scared. If you say, "We're gonna watch a horror movie," and you put Beetlejuice on, I don't think it's not gonna be scary at all.
They're gonna be hyped that you put it on, though.
But
feel
age
like-
appropriate, like there are certain ages that are appropriate to watch Beetlejuice the same way it's appropriate for or inappropriate for other ages in other movies.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Now, Squid, have we won you over with our logic?
No. I feel like just play the theme music. You're like, no, not a horror.
Not a horror
Yeah.
movie.
Trailer.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It's
Yeah.
just
So if
First of all,
something
that trailer's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous.
It is
well, and it's
ridiculous.
The whole
also-
movie's ridiculous.
It's,
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I did feel like I've never been on drugs. I felt like I was on drugs watching it as an adult. I'm like, who wrote this? This is insane. I mean, it's really insane.
Was it Tim Burton?
I think it was
He
Tim
directed
Burton.
it.
Yeah.
He directed it. But so if you go and say we're gonna watch a comedy, and you watch something that's not funny, is it not a comedy? Because I've been to many comedies, I didn't laugh one time. I'm like, that wasn't funny at
well,
all.
it could still be labeled as one, but
yeah.
yeah.
And Jason doesn't even like Step Brothers. I mean,
Well,
so are we,
Which
should
is
we-
also.
should we not
That's
take his
crazy.
advice at
Listen,
all?
you're making me look bad here.
I resaw the movie and I liked it a lot. Matt can testify to that. It was
I did. It was very enjoyable for me to watch Jason re-experience Step Brothers.
Why?
Because the stuff that we've always found funny, watching him find it funny for the first time ever, it's like watching a kid on Christmas morning.
Y'all watch it together?
Like opening. No, I was in here doing work, and it was on one of the TVs in the studio, and he's in the middle of his shift, and he's just like stopped everything and just staring at the TV watching Step Brothers.
Hello, I'm here.
So I couldn't hear it, but I've seen it so many times. You know the lines that they're
Right,
saying,
right.
so
Yeah.
I know. Oh, here comes the pan incident, and he's thinking it's funny.
It is so funny. Shauna, is Beetlejuice a horror movie?
I say no, and I actually have the IMDb app pulled up, and it says comedy fantasy. It doesn't list it as horror.
Mm-hmm. That's
Oh,
what
so
I
the
got
IMDb
too.
The app says something different.
Yeah,
Well, not the one I'm on.
that's what I got too.
IMDb.
I'm
Oh,
on
so the talk about you just made a whole point.
I did. It's a different site that said it. That's what it's listed as. Okay. On the, when it says like PG-13, it's like the official release. It says fantasy horror. I didn't make it up. All right, let's go to who we got here. We got Brandon. Is it a horror movie or not? Beetlejuice.
Absolutely not. That would be like saying that Casper is a horror movie.
Good point.
It is a horror movie.
It's
Good
not.
point.
It's a ghost, for crying out loud. It's not scary.
What, that ghost? Isn't a ghost supposed to be haunted and going
He's
into the
Casper
haunted
the
house?
friendly ghost, but there's
Well,
also mean ghosts in there.
There are?
Yeah.
Just because you don't find it scary doesn't mean it's not horror.
Okay, how about Frankenweenie? Because that was on my television last night, and I had to stop watching it because the dog got hit by a car, and then they turned it into a Frankenstein Frankenweenie.
Sounds
Horror-
frightening.
It's another. It's a
It's
horror movie.
frightening, but I wouldn't
Sounds
call
like,
it a horror movie.
What are those
Thank you,
people?
Brandon.
It's the show that was a long show from a long time ago.
Twilight Zone.
Rocky Horror Picture
Scooby Doo.
No, it was like the girl
We're
that
just playing at this point.
they lived in darkness. It was Adam's Family.
Oh.
The Adams
Oh.
Family is not horror.
Not horror movie.
I always think Wednesday the show is a horror show.
Well, that's a spinoff. We're talking about Adam's Family.
But that's not a movie. Did they make a movie?
The Adams Family's a movie. Yeah.
I mean, they have like, isn't one of the guys like freaking Frankenstein?
I
or
thought it
whatever?
was
Or Lurch?
Angelica Houston. Wasn't
Oh,
that
that's
her,
right. I don't remember the movie well enough.
Yeah.
I know Wednesday the show is definitely a horror.
Well, and then the movies, like the kids' movies they've made. I know that they're kids' movies and they're adaptations, but it's not horror.
Like Jason, when you watch porn, if it doesn't do it for you, is it not porn?
Okay.
So I
If a
thought.
man watches porn,
I can't make another good example. There's so many good examples. Chris, was that not a good example?
Very funny example.
it's a gross
It's funny, so it's not a good example. It was funny, sorry. It can't be a good example now. Chris, is Beetlejuice a horror movie or not?
It's gross.
Oh my. So your divorces are more scarier than Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's true. I can't disagree with that.
We're talking about horror.
Yeah.
There we go.
Your life is more horrifying than the movie.
Well, that's true. Doesn't mean it's still not horror. Trust me, Chris, that's a nice shot. If I knew anything about your life, I would try to verbally destroy you, but I can't. Thank you. Amanda, is Beetlejuice a horror movie?
No, it's not a horror movie, but I heard Katie mention something that I agree with her. It depends on the audience because some children with some of the scenes could be scared with some of the things that happen.
I would agree with that, but if
Thank
you
you.
just refer to adults watching a movie.
Yeah. Like macabre. That I could see. Like
What?
that, the macabre. You know that genre where it's like very
yeah, yeah.
dim, a grim, ghastly, ghostly, like that.
Right.
That kind of thing is like that fits the category, I think, more than horror.
Okay.
You know,
No, I see what you're
dark.
saying.
I don't know.
There's definitely different levels of horror for sure. And an AML Jose, what's up, man?
Good morning. How are y'all?
We're great. Is it a horror movie or not?
You know, I can understand why people think it's a horror movie, and that's understandable, but I don't think it is, and that's okay.
It's an inside joke,
understandable.
and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow, Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Well, the last week wasn't really a horror movie either, so
What?
are we going to continue to go down this route?
Which
the
one?
Gremlins?
Oh, Tremors.
Because Gremlins is a
Tremors?
horror movie, but it's funny.
Which one are you talking
I
about?
don't think that's a horror movie.
It's listed as a comedy horror.
And Tremors had that funny elephant gun on their spear line, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that was yeah.
No, because of the weekend, I was going to get into more today, but I also have to double up tomorrow. I have Fire in the Sky,
Okay.
and that's where it's a true story about somebody abducted by aliens, and it's horrifying. I mean, it is. And then the Mothman prophecies
yeah, that seems
That
more of a horror
sounds
movie.
with Richard Gere. So I'll make sure Jason approves it before I put it on the air.
You haven't.
No, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Or do any of the movies that you
Although
want.
your
Exactly.
wife Carol tagged me like 6 movies this weekend, and I'm going to do all 6 of hers.
which is odd because she doesn't like watching horror movies.
She finds these I've never even heard of, and they do look terrifying.
I think she's watching the things on Netflix that all have subtitles, you know? Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, because some of those are terrifying.
yeah, they really are.